What's going on, my super fam? Today we're going to be having a pretty interesting video regarding a one every year event, which is the Lantern Rite event. And the reason why I say it's interesting is because this is the event that generally gives you the best reward in the whole year, and that is giving you the choice of choosing a Liyue 4-star character. Now, we've always wished that there would be some time down the line when we can actually choose a 5-star character of your choice, but I don't think that's going to be happening soon, so definitely a 4-star character is more than enough right now. Regarding this event rewards, guys, I have to say it is a pretty tough decision, which is why we're having today's video looking into which 4-star character is the best and which you should go for your specific account, and hopefully you will be able to make the best decision by the end of the video. Now guys, here's a quick word on today's sponsor, Paimon's Bargain. If you're someone who's been spending your hard-earned money to pull for your favorite character, you'd know how expensive the top-up can get. But what if I were to tell you that from now on you can get at least a 20% off on all of your top-ups, walk-ins, and battle pass buy? How much would that help you to save? And that's what Paimon's Bargain here will provide you. Whenever you order your Primogems buy through Paimon's Bargain, you will be able to order at a discounted price. Now the reason why this is legit is because it is through discounted Coda shop, or you can understand it as gift card discount. Paimon's Bargains already have many people following, plus have worked with larger creators like Cushing Mains. And of course, I wouldn't be telling you guys this if it wasn't legit. How you do it is basically join Paimon's Bargain Discord server. There will be a link down in my description, and once you're there will be direct instruction on how you can order. Right now, since there will be a Primogem shop reset in patch 3.1, they are holding an event where there is a 30% off when buying every Primogems pack in the shop. Link to Paimon's Bargain Discord in the description. As always, good luck on your character pools, guys. Limited spending only if you do spend, and with that, let's just hop into today's video. So guys, how the video is gonna work is that I will be going through every of the 4-star Liyue character and then finally talk about the best character for you to go for. Now I won't be going in depth into each of the character, otherwise it's gonna be taking forever in this video, but I will go through the most important point of each character so that you get a general understanding of the character once again. Plus I will be going through the best constellation of each character for you to go for, because considering that 4-star character are a lot easier to get than 5-star, so many of us should have already got these characters. Therefore, considering constellation will generally be the best idea as well. And then for the first character, we have Xiangling. Not too much to discuss regarding Xiangling's power level, because she's literally one of the best characters in the game until now and rivals that with a lot of other 5-star characters. Her great power comes from the access of Pyro Element, which is able to do a lot of elemental reaction in Genshin Impact. Plus her best skill is her burst, with having access to a lot of AoE damage and very good scaling as well, therefore making her a very reliable elemental triggerer whenever she becomes one. Her build option is absolutely free to play friendly, because her best in slot weapon is the cat, which is first of all obviously free to play, but the catch is also a very good weapon, if not one of the best in higher tier list polearm weapon. Just power up Xiangling a lot more. The only thing with Xiangling right now is you do want to keep in mind her energy recharge level, because her burst does cost 80 energy. So many of the time, if you want to have a comfortable burst rotation in every rotation of yours, then you need to have at least 200 energy recharge and above, because Woba, who is the source of her energy's particle regen, isn't always doing a great job because it has limited AoE, so you do kind of want to stack up as much energy recharge as you can onto Xiangling. However, overall she's an exceptionally good character already, and I am sure if you've been playing Genshin Impact for a little bit of a while, you will be aware how good Xiangling actually is. The important part though is going to be her constellation, in which the best constellation you want to get to for Xiangling is up to her C4, because especially with this constellation she is having an extension of 40% 50% for her Pyronado, which is her burst. Generally her bursts have 10 seconds, which is quite limited, but with this constellation it goes all the way up to 14 seconds, and it is a very huge deal. It just makes your rotation of your team a lot easier while increasing your overall Xiangling damage by a lot for not just Xiangling but for other characters as well, because an extra 4 seconds allows you to deal a lot more Pyro Aura, therefore have the capacity to do more elemental reaction during that time. So very important constellation onto Xiangling, not to mention the previous 3 constellations that she will have up until C4, so it's something that you want to aim for when using Xiangling. Up next we have Xingqiu, a character that mostly stand alongside with Xiangling in terms of power level. These 2 characters are always considered to be on a national team and has always rivals that of other 5-star characters as well. Reason being, he has one of the most consistent hydro application in especially single targeted situation, plus the number of sub DPS damage he is able to dish out for our team is ridiculously insane at times. To put it simply guys, you can just basically put Xingqiu on any of your team and he will do well, since he is a hydro character and basically hydro element works well on any single team. Once again, similar to Xiangling, he does have an 80 energy requirement, therefore you want to have at least 200 energy recharge or above for Xingqiu to get his burst up every single rotation, which is something you want to do. But other than that, he's an absolutely easy character to use. You do want to note that even though he is a sword character that have access to a lot of different sword weapon option, his best in slot will always gonna be the Sack Sword because of his long cooldown E skill. So Sack Sword here is going to be able to get him a lot of energy particle in a short amount of time so that he keeps his burst up for every rotation. For Xingqiu's best constellation, it is none other than his C2. What it does is that it basically gives his burst an extra 3 seconds and decrease the hydro resistance of enemies hit by his burst by 15% for 4 seconds. Having an extra 3 seconds onto Xingqiu's burst is insane because now he has an 18 seconds long burst duration, or in other words, you're going to be having a almost 100% uptime because I believe that his cooldown of his burst is 20 seconds while his burst is 18, therefore you have like a 2 seconds cooldown, plus the hydro resistant shred onto your enemies. Many of the time is the reason why you're seeing a lot of Xingqiu doing high damage by himself. So obviously the higher constellation you have on Xingqiu the better, but C2 overall is something that you aim for onto Xingqiu. Moving on to our third character, we'll be talking about the newest addition of our Liyue 4-star list, which is our little girl Yao Yao. Now I won't be going in depth into Yao Yao's skill and kit and we'll leave that for another video. However, you do want to know that Yao Yao's specific role is gonna be a Dendro healer, plus she is able to deal a bit of damage as well. Something to note also is that she is a character that do demand a little bit of on-field time. Won't be too long, but she will demand to be on field for a bit of time, unlike some other support and healer character in the game. What she normally do is that she will be throwing out her cute little, I'd say, Yugi, where afterwards they will be throwing out white radishes at your nearby opponent, dealing AoE damage, or if this white radish hit your nearby character and if they are below 70% HP, they will be healed. So technically speaking, overall she is the very first Dendro healer in the game and will open up a lot of different team comp while having access to this. So she's going to be one of the most interesting character here on our 4-star character list right now. Now in terms of constellation, considering that you will be pulling on our Haytham banner, which most likely you will get at least a Yao Yao already. So in regarding to Yao Yao constellation, obviously at this point in time she is not released, so we aren't able to test the exact potential of different constellation. However, from the look of it, her C2 will generally be her best, because what it does is that first of all, whenever she is in her burst and if the white radishes hit the opponent, she will be able to generate 3 energy for herself once every 0.8 seconds, and considering that her burst does require an 80 energy recharge, this will be able to help you focus a lot less into building energy recharge onto Yao Yao. Furthermore, with having C2, you are already having access to C1, which is also a very good constellation on her, because what it does is that whenever the white radishes explode, the active character character within its AoE will be getting a 15% dendro damage bonus for 8 seconds, plus a 15% stamina restore to them, or in other words, you'll be able to use more stamina wise charge attack and potentially increasing your damage even further. A very unique skill, I would say, because I don't think that there's anyone who have access to stamina restoration at this point in the game. So a pretty decent quality of life onto Yao Yao as well. After that, we have Yunjin. If you didn't know, then Yunjin is an absolutely fantastic character. I would say many of the time she is on par with Bennett, or even better from what she does best, which is providing your character a lot of normal attack damage boost. Whenever you're having a character that uses normal attack, most of the time you will be seeing Yunjin being used on the team, even opposed to Bennett, because Bennett should be safe for other teams that don't focus too much on normal attack. Therefore, it technically says that you'll be having almost a 2 Bennett on your account. Plus the fact that Yunjin have access to amazing constellation, I would say she's a very much worth it character to invest in. Not to mention as well, she is a character who's easy to build, defense that are stacking most of the time only, guys. So even if she is a Geo character and you won't be always using Yunjin on a Geo team, she is a character that's very much worth it to be built on. The only thing to mind about Yunjin at this point is that she's pretty much only a support character when it's being used on the team. Other than providing a lot of normal attack for your team, she won't be able to add much damage by herself. Even Geo elements won't be helping you out as much in terms of elemental reaction, because the only thing they does is providing you a little bit of extra shield. For constellation, as I have mentioned, every one of her constellation is something you want to go for, especially all the way up to C6, because of that extra 12% attack increase for your normal attack, something of a rare skill at this point of the game as well. So definitely worth it to have as much constellation for Yunjin as you can. However, the best and sweet spot you want to have your Yunjin on is going to be her C2, because at that point she's providing even an extra 15% normal attack increase after her burst is unleashed, further backing that up by a little bit of quality of life for her C1 by decreasing her E skill cooldown, therefore allowing her to have a little bit more energy restoration, because her burst does require a lot of energy regen. Afterward, we have Beidou, realistically to be one of the most underrated character in the game. However, I basically understand the reason behind it is because she is a character that is sometimes hard to use, because she has that countering mechanic that you want to dish out as much as you can. Otherwise, you are losing quite a bit of DPS power from your Beidou. But other than that only thing, she is very good at what she does best, which is her burst support. And in terms of how much electro element have been buffed after dendro reaction arrived, Beidou is in the same boat. There is really a lot to talk about Beidou, guys, and I just can't cover everything in this video, but she's still very much an amazing sub DPS support character in terms of electro element. Therefore, it's pretty much worthwhile to invest into your Beidou. The main downside of Beidou still at this point is that she's still not good at dealing with single targeted scenario, since her burst gameplay relies on having a lot of enemies on the field, which is something for you to keep in mind. Now, regarding for Beidou's constellation, her C2 is her absolute best and is still considered to be one of the best constellation in the game, because what it does is that it gives her burst an extra 2 additional jump to target. Or to put it into simple term, guys, it basically increases Beidou's burst damage by a value of 66%. Moreover, this constellation is crucial for Beidou's electro application and usage, especially in dendro reaction teams. So once again, especially when you're up against AoE situation, C2 Beidou is going to be absolutely insane. Moving on, we have Chongyun. I would say still one of a unique character who have access to interesting abilities because of his skills regarding cryo infusion for your team. In the past, he has been a character that was standing alongside in a national team. However, after a lot more powerful DPS came, especially with Raiden Shogun, Chongyun fell behind a little bit. However, it doesn't mean that he is a bad character, because if you invest into him, you will still be surprised at how much damage he is able able to dish out. If you're focusing on a damaged Chongyun, normally he will be very good in a quick swap team of utilizing his burst damage. You can obviously use Chongyun as a main DPS because with his E skills of Cryo Infusion, he can make use of that pretty well. But overall, some of his best ability will be utilized when he is on a support sub DPS role for your team because of allowing other character to be infused with Cryo. When it comes to Constellation, Chongyun C2 is going to be his absolute best because of allowing other character on your team whoever casts their E skill or elemental burst to have a cooldown time decreased by 15%. And this is a very good quality of life addition whenever you're using Chongyun on your team because team-wide cooldown reduction is incredibly rare. And I would say the only other source at this point in time is going to be a Raiden Shogun C6 and as well as the double Anemo Resonance, which is something that you don't always use. And this constellation is the reason why you're still seeing Chongyun being viable in many of the team comp, especially on those that have very long cooldown, helping you to have a much more fluid rotation overall. And then we have Yanfei. Honestly guys, from all of my experience using her, she's a very good character and on par with some of the 5-star DPS options, especially at higher constellations. Yanfei is very easy to play. If you're able to stamina manage her properly, she's just going to be standing there using her charge attack spam and then taking out your enemies. Not to mention she's also a catalyst user, which makes her even more easy to play because she's just absolutely going to be standing in one spot to deal her attack. However, she is also a very much hyper carry. Generally, she does not have much of a support for your team other than her C4, which do give you a little bit of pyro shield. She will be pretty much a preference character to use at this point. So if you're going to be planning to invest into your Yanfei regarding her constellations, obviously you would want to have her C6 to have a maximum DPS increase. However, the most important constellation for Yanfei is going to be her C1 because as I have mentioned, stamina management is the most important thing on Yanfei. Therefore, what C1 does is that it basically reduces the stamina cost of her charge attack whenever she have access to Scarlet Seals, and you will see a tremendous quality of life improvement with having C1 versus C0. So a very easy constellation to have for your Yanfei, especially now you have the option of choosing a free 4-star character. I can guarantee you that you will be happy with having Yanfei C1. Next in line, we have a beautiful cheesing Ningguang. Ningguang at this point in time is once again a preference character because she is a hyper carry. Most of the time she won't have too much access into supporting your team, but she's not void of that also because her Jade screen does give you a bit of benefit regarding geo damage bonus. Overall, if you're focusing on building DPS damage Ningguang, she's still able to dish out a lot of damage, especially when you're up against single targeted situation. She isn't the best character when it comes to AoE situations because of her weird AI aiming mechanic. However, most of the time she's also relying pretty much on her raw damage only guys, because once again geo reaction don't have a lot of value because you're only having it to have a bit of shield. She will require to have other sub DPS character on the team to deal damage for her along with her raw damage. Now, if you're investing into Ningguang's constellation, her C2 overall is going to be her best constellation to invest in because of having Jade screen shattered, its cooldown will be reset. This constellation is very important because Jade screen plays a huge role in terms of gameplay of Ningguang. Since Jade screen is her E skill, therefore it is the only source in which she is able to generate her energy particles for her burst. Secondly, her burst uses Jade screen in order to get the maximum benefits out of it. Therefore, if you happen to already shatter your Jade screen before using your burst, there's going to be a significant decrease in DPS level. So this C2 here is to ensure that it's not going to happen, but also you will be shocked at how many times you mess up setting up Jade screen because it is considered to be a geo construct, which is quite easy to break when setting up it wrong. So this allows you to have a much better quality of life towards using Ningguang. And then finally, we have our Xinyan. Now I would say she is a unique character because there is quite a lot of different build towards Ningguang. You can build her as main DPS and a fully support character. Also, the reason why many of us find it really hard to play Xinyan is because of her weird scaling. She have access to both attack percentage and defense scaling. If you want to focus on DPS damage Xinyan, then you will be focusing on attack percentage. But if you want to have a support Xinyan, then it's going to be a defense percentage. So you won't be having both stack on her, and you will have to be choosing either when building Xinyan. Now the best thing about Xinyan, I would say, is that she have access to pretty good attack buffing of physical attack and also physical attack resistance shred as well from her constellation. Not to mention a bit of shielding that she provides to your team as well, which is where she finds many of her value. However, the main thing about being a physical attacker or a physical support is that in a physical team, you're generally having characters such as in Cryo Element or Electro so that you can cause super conduct. So in other words, those two elements are generally going to be the basic of a physical team, but Xinyan is a pyro character where she may be messing up the element here and there, which is why most of the time she finds it hard to fit in many of the team. Plus, even though she is able to be a main DPS character, many of the time most of us still won't be using her because she isn't a character that have that much high of a scaling. Plus, Claymore characters generally have very slow attack animation, so many of the players have been skipping on Xinyan. However, if you're someone who is still investing into your Xinyan and love her gameplay, guys, then a C4 Xinyan actually gives her a pretty good quality of life because at that point she have access to a physical resistance shred of 15% onto your opponent whenever her E skill hits your enemies. This really helps her out because it helps her to become much of a more viable character to use, and having support quality onto a character generally gives them more value when using in a team. Plus, in addition to some of the pre-risk constellation that she will be having from C1 to C3, it does give Xinyan a much more easier time to be used on the team. And so guys, that's us going through basically everything regarding of the characters. Now moving on is going to be me giving my personal advice to be choosing which character out of these long list of 4-star characters. And once again guys, this is only going to be my personal opinion, so you can follow me or not, is going to be your choice. Also guys, do remember that Genshin Impact is only a game, so choosing the character that you feel is the most fun to play with will always be the most important point of all. So do keep that in mind. And so regarding the priority list, first of all, I would recommend you to choose Xiangling constellation because first of all, Xiangling is going to be a character you get for free, so C0 is a definitely must have on all of your account when you hit the 3rd floor of the Spiral Abyss. Furthermore, Xiangling is a character we have discussed that she needs all the way up to a C4 for a sweet spot constellation, so you do want to invest a little bit into your Xiangling, and this is going to be the perfect chance for you to have additional constellation. Next up is going to be Xingqiu. As we have discussed, he is on pretty much par with Xiangling and a character that is used alongside with Xiangling many of the time. C2 Xingqiu is something you do want to have on him, and so getting his constellation this time around is easier than ever. Next up is going to be Yao Yao, not just because she is a new character in this time around, but also her skill capability is very good, something you don't want to miss out because she is the first ever Dendro healer in the game. And not to mention guys, her skill kit scaling and everything seems pretty promising, so I would say that she's gonna be a viable character for quite some time. And as we have discussed, getting at least her C1 or even up to her C2 is a very good thing to have onto Yao Yao. Or if you're someone who will be skipping on Al-Haytham banner, then this is a perfect chance for you to get this little cute character. Next up is gonna be Yunjin. As we have discussed, Yunjin is an absolutely amazing character that you want to invest in, especially when her constellation is just very good. The more constellation you have onto Yunjin, the better she is gonna be. Her sweet spot, as we have discussed, is her C2, so let's try having her constellation up until this point. Afterward is gonna be Beidou. She's still a very good sub DPS character onto your account, especially having access to Electro Element, playing in a major part alongside with Dendro reactions. As we have discussed, best constellation overall is gonna be C2, one of the best constellation in the game as well. So let's try having Beidou up to that point. And then next up is gonna be Chongyun. Most of the time, he is more of a limited character to use at this point in time, especially when we have so many other support character regarding cryo elements as well as cryo DPS character. But if you're still having Chongyun on your team, then you will still find him to be a very viable character. C2 is where his sweet spot is gonna be, so this is a perfect chance to get more Chongyun constellation. Afterward is gonna be Yanfei, a very fun character to play along with. Charges X spam is just so funny, standing into one place and taking out your enemies. C1 is a very easy constellation to have for your Yanfei, so if you're planning to use Yanfei a lot, then having C1 I would say is definitely a must for her. And then next is going to be Ningguang, pretty much a preference character again at this point. However, her damage output is still very good if you invest into her, and especially when she is up against a single targeted situation. And as we have discussed, C2 is going to be her sweet spot, so try and get at least up to Ningguang C2 for a much better performance on her. And then finally in last place is going to go to Xinyan. Many of the time she is a preference character. If you enjoy playing Xinyan, she's definitely a fun character, while also actually having quite a lot of different support options for your team, especially when it comes to physical damage. Her C4 constellation is going to be the sweet spot you want to get her to, so this is a perfect chance for you to do so. This is definitely going to be a tough choice, guys, especially when you are having limited constellation across many of your 4-star characters. I really understand how this feels because I am also pretty much in the same situation. So I hope that this video have been able to help you have a better understanding of making your choice, and finally will help you to make the best decision for your specific account. If you have any questions, do leave it down in the comment section and I will get to you there. And now guys, if you're feeling that you have a lot of character to want to pull for, but you are limited on Primogems, guys, then in collaboration with Paimon's Bargain, we're doing a 6,480 Primogems pack giveaway once Alhaitham banners drop. So if you're new to the channel, guys, be sure to subscribe to my channel and join my Discord server to not miss out once the giveaway drop. I hope this will help you to get more of the characters that you want. And so guys, I really appreciate you guys sticking with me till this part of the videos, and with that I wish you a super day and I will catch you on my next video.